Okay, great. So, please, everyone should pay attention. I need your attention and I need your focus because we are going to be starting right about now. Access to one, at least for the rest of the program, for the 3 months we're going to be spending here. Try to get access to one so you maximize what we are going to be learning, right? So, one thing is very important. One thing is very important. After our live sessions, please and please go back and practice everything we've done. So, I believe learning is um 30%, 30 to 50% of them with you, right? So just to guide on what to know, get to break the laptop. For this particular class, we won't be using a laptop because it's just a conceptual overview of just science. But from starting from tomorrow's session, it is necessary to have a system to follow up with what we are going to be discussing and what we are going to be demonstrating, right? So without further ado, I will go straight to what we have for today. I would really, really, really require us to give our maximum focus and concentration. I believe we all understood what we signed up for when we accepted this offer from Access Bank. So please, this is a very rare opportunity, and this is not something that comes easily, right? People pay a lot for this. So um maximize this opportunity. That's what I will say. Please maximize this opportunity. All right. So thank you very much for your audience. All right. So we have about 2 hours or so to go over what we have for today. Yeah. So okay. Before I just go, let me just quickly say this. There's some materials I dropped in the Google Classroom this week. That material is for this week session, right? So you probably noticed that I've not dropped any assignments yet. There is no assignment on the group chat. There is no assignment on the Google Classroom. Yes, because we haven't done anything yet. So like the assignment is supposed to come after we are done with our live sessions. So after today's session and tomorrow's session, then I will drop the assignment on the Google Classroom. And you're expected to deliver the assignment before Friday. Yeah, the information and the instructions will be dropped on the Google Classroom, so you will see everything there. So make sure you follow up with the updates there on the Google Classroom. So yeah, that is it for that. So just try as much as possible to follow up with everything that is happening, so you won't miss out on anything. If you fail to deliver your assignment on time, it's going to affect your score generally at the end of the program, because we are going to be grading everything, every assignment weekly, and it is going to contribute to the final score you'll be getting at the end of this program. So yeah, that is it for now. If any other information comes up, I will let you know. So for today, we'll be talking on the foundations of data science, right? So this course is going to be on data science. So I'll be introducing the concepts to you, let you in on what data science is generally, give you an idea of what to expect, and the things the expectations basically of this program and of data science generally. So this is session one. Every week we have two sessions. Session one on Saturday and session two on Sundays. Yeah. So the information is there on the Google Classroom. So we're going to be having these live classes weekly, every Saturdays and Sundays. So endeavor to be present. Attendance will be taken. Yeah. Don't worry about how it will be taken, but everybody here would everybody currently on this call would have their name taken and included in the attendance list. Anybody that is not here is missing out on that, and it's obviously going to affect you, your general score. So that is enough of the information. Let's go straight to what we have for today. So foundations of data science. I believe we all have gone through some of the materials I posted and probably skimmed through a little, gone through the materials, the videos, the write-ups and everything basically that was sent on the group to give you an idea of what data science is. So today I'm going to be taking you through data science as a whole. So this is the outline for today's class. What is data science? We're going to be talking about data science, what it is. Then we'll move on to talk about data science life cycle. After that, we'll talk about data science and how it is different from data analytics, right? Then we'll move on to data science tools, and then you can ask your questions, and we'll wrap up for the day. All right. So great. Yeah. So what exactly is data science? This concept is something, or this field, this particular field is something that is buzzing currently. Everybody's talking about data science. Everywhere you go, I'm a data scientist, you're in data science, you get everywhere data. But most people don't really know what data science is, right? You just hear of it frequently thrown around everywhere on the internet, among your friends, and what have you. So I'm going to try to break it down for you in this class. Try to bring it to the level of your that you understand exactly what it is, right? So data science is an interdisciplinary field. So you should take note of that. It's an interdisciplinary field. Why? Because it combines different fields to form data science, to form that particular field, which is data science, right? So it combines statistical analysis, that is the field of statistics. It combines machine learning, and it combines data analysis, and also combines computer science, right? So if you are going to want to go into data science, you'd have to understand these different fields, not everything in its entirety, right? You don't need to know, you don't need to go to the university to study computer science, you don't need to go to the university to study statistics, neither do you need to go to the university to study machine learning, right? But it picks from these different fields to make up the field of data science. You get? So there are concepts in statistics that you need to know as a data scientist. It will be treated in the course of this program. There are concepts in data analysis that you need to know as a data scientist. It will also be treated in the course of this program. Also, computer science. Yes, we'll be doing a lot of programming. I don't know how many of us here is familiar with programming, but we'll be doing programming in data science, which is part of computer science, right? So it's just bringing from these different fields to make up an entire field, which is data science, right? So it uses techniques from these different fields to extract insight and knowledge from structured and unstructured data. So the aim of data science is to use the techniques and the knowledge from these different fields that I have mentioned, right, to work with data. Data science, the core of data science is data. So you are trying to use the techniques from these different fields, from statistics, from machine learning, from data analysis, and programming, right? You are using all these things combined to extract insights from data and to do a lot of things with data, right? This is just a generalization, but there are tons of stuff you can do with data. So basically, using these tools, we'll discuss how we'll use them, we'll discuss the tools we are going to be using, and so many other things, right? So just understand this thing that data science is an interdisciplinary field, combining concepts and techniques from different areas or different disciplines, right, to work with data, to extract insights and knowledge from data. So data science involves collecting, cleaning, processing data to make predictions, inform decisions, and solve complex problems across various industries. So there's something I need to mention. Data science is not done in isolation. Data science is not done in isolation, right? So data science is always applied. Like you're always using data science in a particular field, whether it be the healthcare industry, the financial industry, the marketing industry, the sports industry, or what have you. So for some of us here, I believe plenty of us here are into business. We are into several industries, right? So as you're learning data science now, you can apply this skill you are learning to what you are doing currently or to the industry you are in currently. Let's say you're in the agricultural industry or you're in the agricultural sector. You can apply as long as there's data available. You can always apply data science, right? We'll come to talk about the data science life cycle, which I'm going to explain in depth the steps in data science, right? The steps in data science. So we're going to talk about that. So just know that data science is usually applied to different sectors as long as that sector has data. As long as for example, now in the healthcare industry, you know obviously that there are tons of data there. Like for example, in the radiological department, they take a lot of X-rays, X-ray images. So these images are data, right? So they're a form of data that can be used in data science. Again, so it depends on the problem you want to solve. So as long as there are data being generated in that industry, you can always apply data science. Okay, so if you are already into, let's say, the financial industry, you're an accountant, and you are learning data science, but you don't really know how exactly to apply data science, you can just stay in that particular field you are and just apply it. You get, although there are some industries or some companies that are not yet adopting data science and machine learning and all those and the rest, right? But as we are moving, as we are progressing, it is being adopted. You get, so you would realize that most of these traditional professions, they'll be evolved to include some of these things we are mentioning now. So as you are seeing, AI is everywhere. AI this, AI that. Everybody wants to apply AI. It is from data science that we would see artificial intelligence, right? It's people that are data scientists that develop this AI model. So if you're a data scientist, you can evolve, you can learn, you can upskill to apply AI to whatever it is you are doing. So you remain relevant in that field. So picking this particular program is a very, 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 very important decision, and it's a very wise decision. So I want to I want to like plead with you that you stick with this. You put your 100% effort to gaining that which you've come to gain here, to learning that which you've come to learn, and to acquiring that skill, the data science skill that you've come here to acquire. So let's move on. So as you can see, this is a diagram that illustrates the interaction or the relationship between data science and every other field that I have mentioned. So you can see here that we have computer science, we have statistical mathematics. Yeah, data science also involves mathematics. I didn't mention that. Statistics is a branch of mathematics, right? So it's also
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Okay, please, let's give Emmanuel some time. You're having issues with the network. Okay, just few minutes, please. All right, thank you.
Uh,
we can't hear you.
Hello, Mr. Emmanuel, you are muted. Please, can you unmute yourself? We can't hear you from my end.
Hello, can you see my screen?
Yeah, and we can hear you
Yes,
now.
I hear you
Oh,
now.
okay, great.
Can hear you
So
now.
I actually have been presenting for a
Yes, we can
while
hear you,
now.
sir.
I think I lost connection at a point. All right, so great. So I'll just go back to okay. So please let me know if you can see. Can you see my screen? Can you still see my screen?
Yeah. Yes, sir, we can see, sir.
All
We can
right.
see it.
All right. So why did you stop? Why did you stop seeing the screen, the presentation? So
Life
I'll continue
cycle,
from.
life cycle, the
Oh,
diagram.
The diagram, sir.
okay. Okay. This particular diagram.
Yes, sir.
Oh, the other one, this one, yes.
The first one, sir. This very diagram, sir.
This
All
very
right.
diagram.
All right. All right. Give me a minute, please. Okay. So yeah, so as I was saying, I was explaining what data science is. Let me just go back to recap on what I've said so far.
Yeah.
I said data science is an interdisciplinary field that combines statistical analysis, machine learning, data analysis, and computer science. So it
Left, right,
picks
and
from different domains or different fields to make up data science, right? So, but the essence of data science is to work on data, is to extract insight and knowledge from structured and unstructured data. So you are using the techniques, you're using the different concepts from statistics, from machine learning, from
Lady,
computer science,
allow,
which
how
I
much I
said.
see go?
Please, can you mute your
I
mic?
would, I
Please,
would,
can you mute?
you are like, what I want. I don't have only one that she tell them, like,
Can you mute your mic, please? Thank you. So, all right. So let's move on, please. So now, this is the relationship between data science and all other fields. So we have computer science, we have statistics, we have machine learning. You can see how they all interact with each other, and data science is in the middle, meaning that data science is picking from every other field. It picks from computer science in the aspect of programming. It picks from machine learning. It picks from statistics. It also picks from mathematics because some of the algorithms we'll be using in machine learning are actually mathematical concepts. So you have to we'll talk about all these things as we proceed in the program. So these are just have an idea of the scope of data science and the kind of things you'll be expected to know, right? So you don't need to know everything in computer science. You don't need to know everything in machine learning. You don't need to know everything in statistics. So you just have to understand that some concepts we need to pick from them to help us become an effective or a good data scientist. So we'll be taking you through all these things during the course of the program. And we have the curriculum. I believe we all have the curriculum. If you don't, just drop a message in the group chat and I'll send it to you. So let's just go straight to the life cycle. So I've talked about data science. I've talked about before I proceed, I hope you guys can still hear me.
Yes, sir.
yes, yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
All
Yes,
right,
sir, we
great.
can hear you.
All right, great. Thank you. So we have what we call data science life cycle. So it's like a cycle from beginning to end of a data science project or a data science problem, right? So I'm going to take you through these steps. These are the things you would normally encounter as a data scientist during the course of your work, right? So the first aspect of the data science lifecycle is called problem identification. So, as a data scientist, before you do anything, before you work with data, before you do anything, basically, you need to identify the problem. You need to you need to identify exactly what it is that you want to work with. For instance, you might be working in a company, you might be in a sales company, in a company that has a particular product, and they make sales nationwide throughout the let's say for instance in Nigeria. So they have different products that they sell, and it is a nationwide product that everyone from the different parts of the nation buys, right? So, but there's a particular problem they have in the company, a particular location. Let's say, for instance, the southeast. It's having a kind of low sales. They're not selling enough in that particular location. So they want to understand why. Why exactly are we not selling enough product in this particular location, right? So that is the problem. You've identified the problem, but most times the problem identification is usually done by the stakeholders. As a data scientist, you are always reporting to stakeholders. Stakeholders are the people that are responsible for making decisions in a company or an organization. So they're the ones that identify the problem. So they bring the problem to you as a data scientist, right? And they ask you to give them the solution. Why exactly are we having low sales in this particular region? We are having higher sale in northwest, north central, southwest, and the rest of the other locations. They are having very, very good sale turnout. But in this particular location, we are not having good sale. So what is the problem? That exactly is the problem identification, right? That's the first step. You don't just go straight to collecting data. You don't just go straight to building a machine learning model. You don't go straight to analyzing data. You have to understand why you want to work with data. You have to understand the problem first before moving on. That's the first and most important stage of the data science life cycle. If you don't have a problem, there's no need to do any other thing. You just just good. You just need to just leave the data collection or whatever it is that is remaining in the stage in the life cycle. So the next stage is business understanding. So in this particular stage, you as a data scientist need to understand the organization domain and how the business work, right? It's very, very important. And it is what we call domain knowledge. As a data scientist, you need to have what we call domain knowledge. Domain knowledge is basically the knowledge of the industry you're working in. If you're a data scientist and you're working in the agricultural industry, you need to know how agriculture works, how farming works. You need to understand all these processes. If you're working in the health sector as a data scientist, you need to understand how the health sector works. You need to understand these particular things that are involved. For instance, you might be working in the pharmaceutical industry as a data scientist. You need to understand drug interactions, all these things that has to do with pharmacy and the rest. If you're working in, let's say, the financial industry as a data scientist, you need to understand the financial industry, how finance works, everything that has to do with finance. You need to know it. You don't need to be a guru. You don't need to be an expert, but you need to have sufficient knowledge to proceed with your work as a data scientist. Can you guys hear me? Can everyone still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can hear you. Are with you, sir?
Thank you very
Yes, sir, we
much.
can hear you.
All right. So it is important that you understand your domain. I said before, I don't know if you guys heard what I said that then, but I said before that if you're already in a particular domain, let's say you're an accountant, right? And you are learning data science. You say, oh, I want to go into tech, and you just picked up data science and you want to learn. It's a very, very good decision, I must tell you, because you can actually apply data science in accounting. You can apply data science in any field you are in currently, as long as there is a production of data. As long as that industry or the company where you are produces data, you can always apply data science technique. You can be a data scientist there. So and as you can see, the trend of tech and the trend of things now, you can see everybody's applying AI. All companies wants to apply or employ people. They are good with this AI stuff. So imagine if you're an accountant now, and in the next 10 years, we've evolved technologically to the point that if you don't understand how to do these things, you don't necessarily need to be able to create AI models. But if you don't understand how to work with data and how to interact with AI systems, right, which is what we are going to be doing in data science, you are people that know these things. would be preferred to you. So if you don't learn, if you don't evolve, if you don't read the trend and upskill, you'll be left behind. So this is the decision you are taking now. It's a very important decision. It's a very, very wise decision, right? So I need you to maximize this. I need you to maximize this opportunity that you've been given, right? So that is just by the side. So now I was talking about domain knowledge and the importance of understanding the industry you're working with, because when you are given a data, once you've identified your problem, right, the stakeholders now, the people in charge, they already have a database, right? The company would have a database where they store data. For instance, you are selling a product in southeast, and you have an issue with the sales there. You are not getting enough sales there, right? But that particular product has generated data. Every sale that is made there has data that is accompanying it. So these things are automated, and the data is taken into the database of the company. So the data is there already, right? So the stakeholders are now coming to you as data scientists to present this problem to you. So the first thing to do is, is there a data? Is there data for this particular problem, right? Because that is what you are going to be working with. You are a data scientist. You are working with data. So once you've gotten that sorted out, then you now come on to understand the domain you're working in. If you're a data scientist and you don't understand the marketing industry, it will be challenging for you unless there's someone that is a marketing guru or an expert in marketing that would accompany you and work alongside with you, right? But most of the times you need to understand these things. You need to understand some of these concepts in marketing and sales to be able to work with your data very well and effectively. This applies to all other domain and all other industry like the health and the agriculture and the rest and the ones I've already spoken about, right? So after understanding the business and the domain you're working in, then you now move on to data collection. So I said this earlier, right? So, but actually it's after the business understanding that you now move on to ensure that you have data, right? So some of these companies have data already. They have data in their database. Most companies that we have today, they have database, and they're in the database, they have data, so many data. The data might probably not be organized, but they have data there. But sometimes the company might not have the data that would be required to solve this particular problem. So you as a data scientist would have to sort for data. Sometimes you might be the one seeking for this data. Sometimes the company might have a team of data engineers that would look out for data or go out to get data, right? So the next step in the data science lifecycle is the data collection. Once you've identified the problem, you understand the business context, then you move on to collect data that is relevant to the problem, that can solve the problem that you've identified. You don't just collect any data. You don't just collect any data. You collect data that is appropriate to the problem that you've identified, right? So I won't really waste much time on that. Let's go straight. Okay. For the data collection, there are several ways you can collect data. You can collect data directly from databases. Like I said, the company might have a database, so you might just request for access to their database. Probably you have access to their database as a data scientist. It might be through APIs, right? So this one, I don't really need to go deep into that, but we have an option of collecting data through API. It might be through web scraping. Web scraping is basically scraping the web, any website that contains the data you want to collect, and they have tools for that. Or it might be through other external repositories. So there are several ways to collect data. Several ways. We can't exhaust them, right? So that the data collection stage is usually the next stage in the data science lifecycle. So once you've collected your data, the next thing to do is to pre-process your data. So pre-processing data is usually a very critical stage. Because as I said before, we might have a database, but in that database, the data is not organized. The data is not clean. It's just there, scattered, dirty, disorganized, We have a lot of missing rows and everything. It is in its natural form. And as a data scientist, you can't work with that kind of data. It will give you headache, right? It will give you headache. So you need to pre-process that data. And pre-processing of data usually involve one, cleaning of your data cleaning. You get. So yeah, there's actually what we call data cleaning, and it involves transforming your dirty data into a clean data. And there are several techniques in data cleaning. As we are moving on with this program, you would start to understand all these things I am saying. Right? We are going to take you through all these steps, right? So in your final capstone project, we are going to have a project at the end of this program. So this particular data science life cycle is going to help you with your project, right? So you are going to be following this life cycle to carry out your project. So it's very essential that you understand this, understand it. I'm going to be sending the recording. So in case you didn't get what I said, you can always go back to listen to the recording, or I'll also send this particular slide that you can go through. I'll post everything on the Google Classroom. So you just have to do your own due diligence to study the materials and to ensure that you grasp it, right? So there'll be definitely time for questions after the class. So I am here to ensure that you understand this. I'm here to ensure that you are impacted with this particular skill. So I can only do my best, and the rest is left for you to do, right? So now let's just move on to what we have. That is just by the way. And now I'm talking about preprocessing of data. So you have to preprocess that data that you've collected from the database. You have to clean it. You have to make it and transform it into something useful, right? It's not everything you can work with as a data scientist. It's not all kind of data that you can work with as a data scientist. So you have to make sure that your data is clean. Although sometimes this particular process is usually done by a data engineer, right? But most of the times, data scientists would end up being the one doing all this cleaning, right? So depend on the company that you are, but it's still essential that you understand this. It will be taking you through this in this particular course, so don't worry much about that. So the next stage in the data science lifecycle is the exploratory data analysis. It's also called EDA, right? EDA. So once you've cleaned your data, so now you've identified your problem, you understand the context, the business context, right? Now you've collected your data, and now you've processed that collected data into something useful. You know, one of the reasons why we pre-process our data is because sometimes when you collect your data, you might have a lot of missing data, missing rows, some variables or some data is not spelled correctly, so many things, it is wrongly formatted. So there are lots of, sometimes you might have duplicate entries, right? So as you can see here, it was even mentioned, data scientists handle missing values, remove duplicates, and address outliers. We'll talk about all these things, right, as we are moving on in this course. Right? So these are issues that we can come across as data scientists. So it's essential that we handle these things during the pre-processing stage, right, of the data science life cycle. So data cleaning usually take time. It can be very, very, very time consuming, right, depending on the amount of data you have. So once you are done with that, you then move on to exploratory data analysis, right? So this is the stage where you've gotten your clean data, right? So now you now want to explore that data to understand relationships, to understand patterns, trends. You do a lot of data analysis on your data, depending on the problem that you've identified. You already have something that you are looking at in your mind. So you now start using the data to kind of just exploring the data too. You might do sometimes univariate analysis, bivariate analysis, check for the kind of data type for each variable, and so many other things. So there are a lot of techniques, a lot of things that you would do during the exploratory data analysis stage, right? So in this stage, the data scientists would explore and examine the prepared data to uncover patterns, trends, and correlations. I know some of these concepts might be sounding new to many of us. Don't worry. Don't allow it intimidate you. We are going to dissect everything. We are going to understand every single thing. Trust me, before the end of this 3 month program, you'd be a very, very confident data scientist. That is if you put your effort, if you put in effort, right? Because I cannot do everything for you. I wish I can, but I can't, right? I can only present what I know to you and try to break it down. But it's left to you to do the rest. You get. So yeah, I just like chipping some of these things because it's part of the entire program. It's not only the material we'll be talking about. We'll talk about other things to ensure that you have the right motivation, right, to go through the program. Hope you guys can still hear me. I need feedback. Hope you can still hear me.
Yeah.
Yes,
We can
sir.
hear you, sir.
No.
Can hear
All
you
right.
clearly.
We can hear you,
All
sir.
right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So yeah, that is for the data exploratory data analysis. So you do a lot of normal data analysis. You do it in this stage. You are trying to explore your data, right? To just gain insight, into the data. So there are a lot of approaches to take during EDA. So these are different stages of data science, and you have to know how to you need to understand how to approach each of this stage. I've talked about problem identification. You need to know how to identify problem as a data scientist. Sometimes it might not be the one identifying the problem. It might be your boss, it might be the manager, it might be the CEO or whoever the stakeholder is, right? So the person might identify the problem for you. And although you would be consulted as a data scientist because you are the one that would be doing most of the work. So the problem identification would almost always require your presence. So you have to be good with problem identification, right? So now I'm just trying to recap. Now we move to business understanding, data collection. So sometimes data collection can be very hectic. It can be a very rigorous process, especially when the data for that particular problem is not available yet, and you can't find it on any platform, right? Because we have a lot of data on the internet. So sometimes the problem you're trying to solve, there's no data for it in the internet. So you have to manually collect it. You have to do a ground research. You have to do groundwork, right? So yeah, that is just by the way. Although we have people that specialize in collecting data. So now we move to pre-processing. Pre-processing, you are the one to do it. Data scientists, sometimes data engineer are the one responsible for this. But yeah, so then we move to EDA, exploratory data analysis. Talked about that. Now we move to the next stage of data science lifecycle, which is data modeling. Yeah, this is when we'll now start to enter into the technical part of data science. This is where we now start to hear about things like machine learning, all right, all these algorithms and all this stuff that might sound complicated, but they're not complicated, right? They're not complicated. They are very, 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 very. They are. So it's something that you can definitely understand. You just need to take your time to understand it. So now the next stage is data modeling, right? So let's say for the example I gave initially, you are trying to understand you're trying to understand or you're not trying to understand why the sales in a particular region is low. You get. So now you got data. The problem now is we're having low sales in this particular region. That is problem identification. The next one is business understanding. So you have to understand how sales work, how markets work, how the logistics behind all these things, right? You have to understand the variables that affect sales. So you need to have the domain knowledge, the business understanding of marketing, right? That is the business understanding area. Now, the data collection, the company might have sales data. You get. So the sales data might be every day, right? It will be you have different variables. This particular product was sold. And when it was sold, number of products sold in an hour. You can have the temperature in that particular day. You can have so many variables, right? Depending on the problem. So I might not be very, very specific now, but I just wanted to get the idea of what I'm saying. So you've gotten the data, you maybe probably you also want to be able to predict sales. You want to be able to predict how the sales in this particular region would perform, right? So you collected the data for that, and then you go through all the stages. You now got to the data modeling part. This modeling means basically, let me just start from there. Modeling basically is trying to capture relationship between an input and an output. That's what modeling is. Modeling, take note of this, is as we are going to be discussing machine learning in the future week, in coming weeks, you are going to need to understand this, what I'm saying now. It's going to be pivotal in understanding those algorithms. Modeling is basically capturing relationship, how this particular variable affects this particular variable. So you map the relationship between these two variables, input and output, right? So that model is now, when you've captured the relationship, now you have now created a model for that particular data. And you can now use that model, right, to make predictions on something that you've not seen before. For example, you have okay, let's say you want to be able to predict how much sales you would make in a day. Like as a business, you want to predict how much sales you would make in a day. So you already have the data. You already have the sales data. Let's say you've been running that business for like 5 years. So you have enough data, because for each day you calculate how much you made in that day from sales. You put it in your whatever means you are capturing data, probably through Excel or through an automated process. So you have how much sale you are making a day, and you have all the variables that affect that sales. Let's assume there's no sound. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
We can hear you, sir. We can hear you.
Someone said there's no sound in the group chat. All
Yeah,
right.
Reese.
So, okay, great. The recording will be here. So even if you can't hear anything now, hopefully by the time I drop the recording, you will get to get everything that was said. Hello, please, can you mute your mic? Yeah, thank you. So as I was saying, you are trying to predict the sales, right? Future sales that you've not done yet. So now you've gotten your data, you've gotten the sales data, and you've gotten variables that affect sales. So there are so many variables you can get. You can get like temperature, you can get like the gender, the gender of the person that purchased that particular product. So many things. You can decide on the variables you want to get. So you've gotten that initial data, and then you now want to understand the relationship between the variables and the sale. Like the sale now is the amount of sale you've made. So once you've passed in this data to an algorithm now is what is used to capture that relationship. So there are machine learning algorithms, right? So which we are going to be talking about later on. Okay, I just want to give you an idea of what data modeling is. So if you're not exactly understanding everything I'm saying, don't bother yourself. Don't worry so much. You get this thing is going to be we are going to talk about it much more in the future classes. I'm just trying to introduce it to you. You don't need to understand everything immediately, right? So just capture what you can capture, and in the future classes you would understand better. So once you've captured the relationship between the sales and the variables, then you can now use that model to predict sales that has not even been made. So you can just get data future data, or data that corresponds, or that will likely correspond to sales, and you can pass it into your model. So that model would now generate a predicted value for the sale you are going to make based on the variable you've passed to it. So that is basically what machine learning is, or data modeling is. You model that data and use that model to make predictions, right, on unseen data. So yeah, let me just not waste much time on that. So basically, after the EDA, you go to data modeling, where you are going to start identifying patterns and capturing relationship between your data, right? No, this slide, I'm still on the same slide. Can you see my slide? Hello, can you guys see my slide? Hello? Hello? Can you guys see? Can you guys see my slide? Please, sound okay, okay. Olada, please, Caleb, I just unmuted you. I need a response. Can you see my slide?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. So let's proceed. Okay, so after the data modeling, the next stage is model evaluation. So this is where we evaluate our model to be sure that it is accurate enough. So there are a lot of things that goes into model evaluation, where we have a lot of evaluation metrics as data scientists, accuracy, precision, and so many of them. So it tells you how your model is performing. It is a very important step too, because if you don't evaluate your model, you can just create a model that will not be very, very accurate, right? Because this is something you are trying to deploy or trying to use to solve problems. So you need to make sure that the model is as accurate as possible. So the final stage in the data science lifecycle is the model deployment. So once you are done with everything, like you've finished everything, you've collected your data, you've done EDA, you've created your model and everything. Now it's time for you to deploy. So deployment is basically bringing what you've created in your computer into an operational environment where people can use it or where your stakeholders can use it. The slide is gone. I don't know. Can you still see my slide? Caleb, please, can you respond? I just unmuted you. Someone said the slide is gone. All right. All right, great. So you can now see it. Okay, great. So, all right. Okay. So the model deployment is when you push that model into an operational environment where your stakeholders can now use it or where the business itself can use it, right? So there are a lot of things that are involved too in model deployment, and it's something we're also going to look at before the end of this program. So all these things you've seen and all these things I've explained is something you are going to play with. You are going to work with it. We're going to teach all this, and it's not just conceptually. You're going to work on your system and practice each of this stage. Assignment to be given, project to be given, and so many other things to ensure that you are understanding and you can. I want to be sure. Can you see this? Can you see my screen? Someone
Yes,
is
we can
saying
see
you
your
can't see my screen.
Yes.
All right, great. So yeah, that is it. That is it. So these are the stages of data science with the problem identification, business understanding, data collection, pre-processing data, exploratory data analysis, data modeling, model evaluation, and model deployment. Right. So we're going to also briefly look at data science tools. So this is just the ones that are relevant to what we're going to be doing. If I list everything that is used in data science, so we are going to He's not going to like basically he won't leave this particular class because there are tons of tools out there for data science. So I just selected the ones that are relevant and that are important. So for the tools we are going to be using or that are used generally, we might not use everything here, but just to give you an idea of what you'll be working with as a data scientist. So please don't bother about attendance. The attendance will be taken. Like the attendance will be taken. Don't bother about it. That is being sorted out as we speak. Right. So as long as you're in this class, your name is in the attendance list. It shouldn't be a problem. All right. So now I said initially that we're going to be working with a programming language for this particular course, right? Although there are two programming languages that are mostly used in data science. We have Python and we have R. Most of us have heard about Python programming language, but not many of us would have heard about R programming language. So R programming language is a specific language that was created for statistical analysis, right? So it is specific in the sense that the people that created it were statisticians. So they created it in a way that it is optimized to do statistical analysis and also machine learning and some other things that are involved in data science, right? So that is what our programming language is. Many people don't use it, although some companies require that you have the R programming language skill as data scientist, right? But the most common one is Python programming language. So we are going to teach you Python programming language in this program. That is the most commonly used programming language in data science. That is what we're going to be working with. We're going to be taking you through um, Python and giving you a good foundation so we can move on to some of the libraries and some of the tools, advanced tools for data science. So these are the programming languages used for Python for data science. We have Python and we have R. So Python is what we're going to be teaching you in the course of this program, right? So if you look at the materials I sent, I indicated you I sent a particular resource for installing Python, which was Anaconda. Many of us might not have done that, but before the end of this week, everybody's expected to install it. Although tomorrow's live section would involve us going through this installation process and setting up our environment process. So that is it for that. So now we move on to the Jupyter Notebook. So Jupyter Notebook is a platform where you write your code, right? It's a platform where once you know Python, then the next thing is where am I going to write this Python code? Like, am I going to bring out a book and start writing it on a sheet of paper, right? So Jupyter Notebook is an online platform. It's a platform basically that you write your code. So it's a very interactive platform. Once we start demonstration, you are going to see it, right? So tomorrow we are going to demonstrate that. So make sure you are available for tomorrow's class. So we're going to start most of these demonstrations tomorrow. So today is just for a conceptual overview. Can we make use of Visual Studio Code? Yeah, you can definitely make use of Visual Studio Code. So, but we are going to be starting with the basic one, which is Jupyter Notebook, right? So maybe further on we can advance into using Jupyter Notebook. But the platform now shouldn't really be of much concern to you. So just follow exactly what we are doing, right? So Jupyter Notebook is going to be the platform we'll be working with. Probably moving on towards the machine learning time when we'll be working on machine learning, we might move on to using Google Colab. So I didn't include it here. So there's what we call Google Colab. Is Jupyter Notebook based, right? But it is Google. It is hosted on Google servers, right? So you don't really need to worry about your resources. So Google is handling everything that will be done on the notebook. So we have what we call pandas. Pandas is a library. Pandas is a library in Python. So in Python programming language, there are what we call libraries, and those libraries are specific to data analysis. So we'll be learning some of these libraries, right? So pandas is one of them. NumPy is another of the libraries we'll be learning. So Pandas is basically for data analysis. It gives you this the ability to work with your data as you would work in Excel. I know probably most of us would have interacted with Excel before. The same way your data is being arranged in Excel in rows and columns, you can have them arranged like that in Python, right? So pandas is a library in Python that kind of represents your data in that format, so you can easily work with them and analyze them. So it's something we are going to be dwelling on too in the course of this program. So another one is NumPy. NumPy is the full name is numerical Python. Basically, everything that has to do with numerical computation, mathematical operation, everything is going to be done in NumPy. So NumPy is going to handle all of that, right? So anything you're doing, even if you're working in Pandas, you still need NumPy. If you're working in scikit-learn, you'll use NumPy. If you're working in TensorFlow, you use NumPy. So NumPy is a must know for data science. I didn't include there's a particular library I didn't include, and just note that I will include it in this particular presentation slide before sending them to you. So we have matplotlib. So matplotlib is used for visualizing your data, right? So visualization is another core aspect of data science. So some of the time you're working with your data, you would want to understand what your data looks like, what is happening. So visualizing the data is going to help you with that. So there are some libraries in Python that helps with that. So we have matplotlib, we have seaborn, we have Plotly, we have Folium. So we have plenty of them, but we are going to be working with just Matplotlib and Seaborn, right? So these are the ones we'll be working with: Pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib, and Seaborn. I should have included those ones there, but I would update this presentation slide before sending it. So endeavor to go through this presentation slide, go through it. You can do further research or external reading, but just make sure you go through this presentation slide. I'll be posting it on the Google Classroom. So we have scikit-learn. Scikit-learn is basically for machine learning. So it is a library in Pandas that is used to do machine learning. So everything, although it is mostly the traditional machine learning techniques we know, logistic regression, linear regression, decision trees, algorithms, and the rest, random forest. So scikit-learn is going to be the tool we would use for machine learning, right? So just get familiar with them. We have no, Matplotlib is not the same as MATLAB. MATLAB is a different application on its own. It's a software application on its own, right? So Matplotlib is a library in Python. MATLAB is different. Is a different application, right? I get it might be confusing. It might be easy to confuse these two, but it's not the same thing. So you would get familiar with it definitely during the course of the program. So we have TensorFlow. Now TensorFlow is a more advanced tool. It is a framework. It is a deep learning framework, machine learning framework, right? It's usually used for AI, implementing deep learning networks that is used for all this AI stuff you are seeing, right? So it's very advanced. We might not do it in the course of this program, but I just kept it here so you would know that it is part of the tools used for data science, right? So it is a very advanced tool used for data machine learning. So we'll be dwelling mostly on scikit-learn. Scikit-learn. So scikit-learn is very, very, very comprehensive. It has a comprehensive library of machine learning algorithms. So we might not even exhaust everything in scikit-learn, right? So TensorFlow is another one. We have PyTorch, which I didn't include. So PyTorch and TensorFlow, they basically do the same thing. So you can choose to use any of them. So if you decide to advance your skill after this program, yes, great, it's fine. You can actually go on and learn TensorFlow, right? So TensorFlow is basically what these top companies use. Some of them, they use it in developing their AI model. TensorFlow was developed by Google, right? It's developed by Google, so it's a very, very big framework. right? So it's part of the tools that is used in data science. So we have cloud services, AWS, we have Azure, we have Google Cloud, G Cloud, right? So we have some of them. So these cloud services, they are basically what would be used in deploying machine learning models, right? So if you want people to get access to what you've done and to use your product, your machine learning product model, we can deploy them on all these cloud services, and anybody can just go on to the website or your URL or link and test what it is you've created. So, for instance, this ChatGPT that we're using, um, it was something that was developed by OpenAI locally. They developed it with their computing resources. But for us to have access, for you and I to have access to ChatGPT, they had to deploy it on a cloud, on the cloud. So anybody can have access to it. So it is posted there. Same thing, although that one is in a larger scale. The same thing happens for any kind of project, any kind of project. So no matter how small your ML model might be, you can always deploy it and anybody can have access to it. So this is like basically what you'll be working with. I'll update this tool stack to reflect some of what we yeah, GitHub can host. I no, I GitHub is not advised. It's not advised to use GitHub for model deployment. You can use it to host static web pages, but I don't know. I've not really tried using it for model deployment before. So, yeah, that is a good question. And would also be talking on although like okay, let's just leave that for now. So basically, these are the two stack you'll be using for the course of the program. So you get by the end of the program, you should be familiar with at least 70% of these tools that I've mentioned here, right? So you should be familiar with 70% of them. So we're going to start with Python. Yeah, we're going to start with Python programming language, take you through the concept, the basics, then move on to using the libraries, data science libraries like Pandas, NumPy, Scikit-learn, and the rest. So that is it for data science tools. And if there's any other information, I would post it on the Google Classroom. All right. So now what we have, we also need to distinguish, very important, between data science and data analytics. Very, very important. Because this can be very confusing, very, very confusing. So some of us were asking, some of us asked me that what they applied for was data analytics, but ended up getting data science. I understand, but I believe that has been sorted out in the call you guys had yesterday with Ebute. So, but for today, I'm just going to be differentiating these two fields. They are not the same thing, right? They are not the same thing. So don't mix it up. If you are in data science, you are a data scientist. And if you are doing data analytics, you are a data analyst. These are two different data fields, right? So I categorized the differences under several categories: scope, methodologies, objectives, skills, and data type. Sorry, and also end goal and application. So we'll be going through these differences. So just to make sure that you understand where you are, what you are doing, and the particular field that you've chosen to learn, right? So now for the scope, data science encompasses, so everything on the left hand here is for data science, while everything on the right hand here is for data analytics, in case you are confused, right? So for data science, it's a broad field that encompasses data analytics, right? So data science is a broader field, I would say. It's more advanced in its complexity. So it encompasses data analytics, focuses on the entire data processing pipeline, including cleansing, analysis. Yeah, thank you. MATLAB is a package. Matplotlib is a. It seems some of us here are already familiar with some of this, and that is very good. Like that is very, very good. I'm seeing the proactiveness and the enthusiasm to learn. That is actually how we are going to succeed and progress very fast with this program. So yeah, that's great. That's great. So now, as I said, data science encompasses data analytics, right? So it's kind of broader in its scope. You get so it focuses on entire data processing pipeline, including data cleansing, analysis, and model creation, like the machine learning model that I talked about. While data analytics is more focused on processing and performing statistical analysis on existing data sets. So if you and in the data life cycle, there was a stage I talked about which was EDA, exploratory data analysis. In that exploratory data analysis, you are basically doing of what the data analyst will do there. You get so you're performing a lot of statistical analysis, you're doing a lot of exploration, correlation, and applying data analytics techniques. So in that scope, data science is broader, while data analysis is more focused on processing and performing statistical analysis. You just want to get insight fast, fast. You just want to understand what your data is telling you for data analytics, right? So that is it for the scope. For methodologies, data science utilizes advanced statistical, machine learning, and deep learning techniques. Involves predictive modeling and algorithm development. So basically, this is just the method that is being used. Advanced statistical methods, machine learning, deep learning techniques, right? So this is what is involved in data science. This is what you'll be hearing in this data science program. These are basically what you'll be dealing with. Why for data analytics? It primarily involves descriptive and inferential statistics, EDA, can you see it now? And data visualization to identify patterns and relationships. So this is actually what you'll be doing basically if you're a data analyst. You'll be doing descriptive statistics to describe your data, inferential statistics to make inferences from a sample, right? So, and you also be doing exploratory data analysis and data visualization. So I'm going to give you at the end of this, I'm going to show you um, an example of data visualization so you get to understand exactly what we are saying. So this is the scope of data science and the methodologies used. So just take note of this. And I also advise that you have a note for this particular program. You get a separate note. So you jot all these things that you are. As you are going through the slide, you are going through materials, resources, videos, you're taking down your own notes that way it will help you to kind of easily make references. Maybe when you forget something, it's not everything you're going to remember. So that is the essence of taking down notes. So you can easily go back and refer to what you've taking note of and remember it. It's going to help you get all these things that you are learning stick. So it's advised that everybody get a separate note for this particular program and take notes starting from this introductory class. So as you are going to be going through this slide, I'll send it to everybody I'll post it on the Google Classroom so everybody can have access to it. So go through the slide, take notes of what important notes, just stuff, right? So you can have your own note that you can make reference to. So now we've talked about the scope, methodologies. Now the objectives. So for data science, the aim here is to create new data products and innovation through predictive modeling and data product development. So what we mean here by new data products are usually, like for example, ChatGPT is a data product, right? I keep using it because it's a very popular stuff that we cannot relate to. So any AI product you are seeing out there is a data product, and they are developed by data scientists, AI engineers, and ML engineers, right? So that is actually one of the objectives of data science. So they create data products that can be deployed, right? So in data analytics, you don't deploy anything. You don't deploy anything. You can only post your insight. You can represent it in a dashboard or a report. But in data science, you deploy, you create a product that people can use, a data product, something that can predict something just based on the particular problem it is you're trying to solve, right? So for data analytics, it focuses on solving specific problems, making decisions, and generating reports, as I have said. So basically, you are going to be creating dashboards here. I'm going to give an example of a dashboard at the end of this class. So this is what the objective of the data analyst basically. So for the skills, so for a data scientist, you will require a strong foundation in computer science, mathematics, statistics, machine learning, and programming languages like Python. So now don't be scared. Don't be intimidated by all these things I've mentioned now. It's something that is why you're in this program, right? This is what we came here to do for you, to give you that foundation, right? So you just need to put in do your own part. So you need to understand. And when we say computer science, we just mean some concept in computer science. You need to understand programming. You need to understand some of these things that are used in the how to work with computer basically, right? So if you don't know how to work, if you don't know your way around computer, I think there might be a little learning curve. There might be a little challenge which is surmountable. So you need to have a little background in working on computer. You need to know your way around computer, right? Around using a computer basically. So for those that asked me if it is important to have a laptop for this program, yes, it is important. You need a laptop. Very, very important. I don't know how else to say it or how else to emphasize that and the importance of having a system. But for this particular tract, as long as data science is involved, you need a computer. And you don't just need a computer, you need a good computer. If you have a computer with 4 gig of RAM, it might be a challenge. It might be a challenge because some of these days you might be training models, just maybe not so, just small models, which based on your RAM might not be as fast as you would want it. So it's advised that you get a computer, at least 8 gig of RAM, preferably 8 gig of RAM. I'm not saying 4 gig cannot do it, but preferably 8 gig of RAM. So I don't know how you do it, but just try to get access to a computer. If it's something you can if it's a place that you can go to use their computer, good and fine. Just make sure that you are practicing what we are learning. That is very important to practice. This is not a conceptual field. Data science is hands-on, like you're always doing something. You get so the reason why we are not doing anything in this class is because we are just trying to introduce the concept to you. But moving forward, almost every of our class would be hands-on, would be doing something. So get a computer and get yourself ready. So yeah, so these are the skills that will be required from a data scientist. So for a data analyst, it involves expertise in statistical analysis. You need to know statistical analysis and data visualization and data wrangling. Data wrangling is basically just transforming your data and data. Your computer is 6 gig RAM. Yeah, it would work. Like, yeah, it should work. 6 gig RAM is okay. 6 gig RAM of RAM is okay, right? So these are the skills for a data analyst. So for the data type, for data type, a data scientist work with both structured and unstructured data. Structured and unstructured data. So for the sake of time, I'm going to be giving assignments, but the assignment is going to be after tomorrow's class. So the assignment will be on some of these concepts. I'll require you. Another thing we're going to train you on in this program is how to learn and how to research on your own. We are going to definitely guide you and teach you, but we can't give you everything. So the assignment will be a way to teach you how to learn, right? So to keep you accountable. So there are assignments I will give you that will be related to structured and unstructured data. To give just write something about it, right? And you can use any resources it is to answer these questions. So data types use the data science, structured and unstructured data. For the data analysts, they basically deal with structured data. So Let me just give a very quick explanation on structured and structured data. So, for instance, the data you're always working with in Excel is a structured data. Structured data is data that has rows and columns. They are organized in a table, in tables. Data in the databases, data that you found in databases are structured data. They are organized in rows and columns, right? While unstructured data, those data that are not organized, right? They don't have a pattern. They are data like images, image data, right? Um, text data, audio data. So all this data that we are seeing, yeah, details about the assignment to be posted on the Google Classroom. So the assignment would be given after the live session tomorrow. So once we are done with our live sessions for Saturdays and Sundays, then the assignment will be dropped on the Google Classroom, and the information will be given there: when to submit, how to submit, and just everything you need to know basically. So don't bother about that right now. Just focus on what we are doing. The information will be relayed later on. So structured data, as I said, it involves rows and columns like the ones we see in Excel. Unstructured data, text data, audio data, image data, yeah, Google Classroom, image data. So this, for example, now the data that ChatGTP was trained on was not structured data. It was unstructured data. It was a text data, right? So these are the things that data scientists to be working with. So, but a data analyst to work basically just um with just structured data, right? All right. So great. So let's go. Let's just move ahead. So now, for a data science, the end goal is to discover patterns and insights, to develop new strategies, products, so basically, just trying to reiterate what we've said. And applications, developing AI applications, recommendation system, and automating processes. So the applications of data science is unlimited, basically, and data analytics. So for data analytics, the applications we have optimizing business processes, improving marketing strategies, and enhancing operational efficiency, right? So the insight that is provided by data analysts will be used to optimize business processes, improving market strategies, and the thing is that all these things in all these application internet can also be it can be transferred to the data science field too. But data science can also do and be applied to optimize business processes. As I said before, the data science is like an overarching field that encompasses data analytics. So data analytics is like a smaller part, while data science is a bigger, broader part that covers everything, right? So yeah, that is it for that. I really hope you understand this. Although there will be a room for questions, we'll be ending very soon, right? So I would give about 30 minutes for questions, so everybody can ask questions and get cleared. So now this was a dashboard I designed, and as you can see, this is how a data analyst presents his findings. This is a dashboard, right? So after a data analyst have done all the analysis, statistical analysis, and exploratory data analysis, this is the result. They represent it in a visual form, most likely in a as dashboards in dashboard. So you can see how it is presented. So this is what will be presented to the stakeholders, and the data analyst will just try to explain everything that is going on here, and the insight gotten will be used to make decisions, right? So as you can see, this for this particular company, see the revenue, the total booking. So all these things are important metrics that the stakeholders would require, right? Sound. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Can hear you. We can hear you, Mr. Emmanuel. Please
Please, not
continue.
saying sound. Make sure that your internet connection is stable, please.
We can hear you, sir.
Um, all right, great. So this is an example of what a data analyst presents. This is the final output. This is the final output of the data analyst workflow, right? So this just to give you an idea for a data scientist, it is mostly always a model that they've built. It's mostly always a model, a machine learning model that would be deployed, right? We might not necessarily deploy all the models we're going to be practicing with, right? But our final capstone project will deploy these models and will take you through the entire process from start to finish, right? So, um, yeah, we've come to the end of this session. It's a very brief one. Just wanted to introduce to you the concept of data science and data analytics to ensure that you have a grasp of what you are doing, to ensure you have an understanding of what you are doing, and to give you um, um, to set your expectations. Basically, I believe I've been able to do that, and I would open room for questions now. I'm going to be just raise once for those that have questions. Indicate so I can pick. Let me okay,
Please,
give
I
me a
have a
minute.
question.
Um,
I have a question, sir. Hello.
please, if you have a question, I'm unmuting you so you can speak. Michael, you raised
I,
your hand.
I have a question, though.
All right, go ahead to speak, please. Ask your question.
Please, thank you so much for the lecture so far. I just want to ask, sir, we discussed about the data science, data analytics. I just want to ask, what is data itself?
What do you say?
What is data itself? What is data itself?
Oh,
What is a
okay,
data?
okay, okay, great. All
Yes.
right, thank you. So, anyone else? Is there any other question? So I can just answer everything at once. Ibrahim, you want to speak? Please go ahead. Hello, Ibrahim. Please, you can go ahead to speak. Okay. Let me answer your question. So, what exactly is data? So that is a good question. So, I believe we all have an understanding or at least an intuition of what data is, even if we don't understand it in its technical form. But we've all interacted with data before. We know what data is, and now we're not talking about um, um, the internet kind of data. We are talking about the data that represents the world. These are facts, right? Basic, exactly, basic raw facts of the world. And these are things that cannot be disputed. They're a representation of the world of itself. So if, for example, now they want to collect my data, right? Like my height, weight, and some of yeah, basically height and weight, and they get a measuring tape and also um, yeah, a measuring tape and measure my height. And okay, let's say it was 180 something centimeter. So that is a data point. That is data. So that data is telling something about me, like a fact, like it was measured, like yes, this is this person. You can't dispute it. It's an objective fact of the world. Data can exist in many forms, various forms, right? So this is just an example. We have numerical data, we have categorical data. right? We can also have, as I said before, I explained structured and unstructured data, and I talked about how they differ, right? So we have numerical data, we have categorical data. Numerical data is obviously those ones represented with numbers, right? And we have also have categorical data, those ones that are in categories like gender. If we should want to get the gender of, let's say, 200 persons, the gender can either be male or female. So that kind of data is a categorical data, right? So it is different basically, and there are different approaches to working with categorical data. We are still going to I'm still going to talk about that. I think we'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll just take like an hour to talk about the data. I believe some of us here need the explanation. So yeah, thank you for that question. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. It's necessary that um, you understand what data is. So I believe I've answered the question. So hopefully tomorrow we'll just take a little time from our time to talk about data, right? So at least everyone can gain an intuition on that. So any other question? Any other question? If you have question, you can also drop in the group chat. I would see it there. But my question is MS Excel part of the tools used for data science? Yeah, MX Excel is okay. Esther asked that question. Yeah, MX Excel is also a tool you you use Excel for data science, but it is not unique to data science. Anybody can use Excel basically, but it is the tool is more unique to those doing data analytics, right? Mostly what you use as a data scientist is Python and some of other tools. So all your work will be mostly on Python, right? But you can also use Excel if you want to, right? But it is not a unique tool in data science. But if you are doing data analytics, yeah, it's a very, very important tool for data analytics. Okay, NZ, my question is: Are we going to create a portfolio for every assignment given to us and for future reference? Um, I don't know if I understand that question. Please, if you are here, can you unmute yourself and elaborate on the question? All right. So, please, if you have any other question, you can drop it in the group chat. Can other programming language be used in data science? I believe I explained this already initially. I talked about the two programming languages that are used for data science. They are popularly used for data science. We have some other programming languages. We have Julia. Julia is no, I see at this point. Um, I want you to. There are so many things you can do. Like there are so many things you can do. So let's try to streamline it, right? And learn the ones that are relevant. So you can't learn everything. So the ones I'm presenting here are the ones that are necessary for you to know, right? So there are other programming languages that can be used for data science, right? Um, you said can I adjust now? Yeah, so that is just it. So for now, we'll be working with Python as a programming language. So what other question? Please, if there's another question, drop it on the group chat, or you can unmute yourself and speak. Yes, Peter. Peter has a question. Okay. Um, um, David, please, can you unmute them, like so they can ask questions? I don't know who muted everybody, but please, can you unmute them so they can ask their questions?
Mr. Emmanuel, please, some people have questions to ask and they want you to unmute them so they can speak. Please
Yeah,
unmute
yeah.
them.
I. Okay. Let me see. Okay. All right. Just give me a minute, please.
If you have a question, please you can either raise your hand or mute yourself and ask your question.
And you can actually unmute yourself and ask questions. There is no restriction on that. Just unmute yourself and ask the question. Okay, some persons ask questions in the group chat. You mentioned preprocessing data and exploring data as important steps in data science. From my little research, these are very important steps in data analysis. My question is data analysis the core aspect of data science? And if it is, shouldn't it be something we should know a lot about? Yeah, I explained this already. I explained this already when I was talking about um just give me a minute. So I explained already when I was talking about EDA, the life cycle of data science. I talked about EDA, experiential data analysis, that we are going to be doing data analysis in data science, right? So it's also part of the steps or the skill you need to know in data science. So yeah, we're definitely going to learn data analysis too, a portion of that. Why in the course of the program? I hope that answered your question. Now that we have seen a picture of what the end product of data analysis is, can you show us an example of the end product of what data science is? That way we have an idea of what we are learning towards. Yeah, so I've given examples already. Um, ChatGTP is an example of a data science product, but that is on a very large scale, a very, very large scale. Um, there are some of these AI tool, almost all AI tool you have interacted with. There are examples of AI of data science products, right? So it's not something I can come and be presenting here. I've given you an idea of what it is, sure. But once we've entered the machine learning phase of the program, we'll get to understand more of what it is. So let me unmute, allow to speak. So I'm unmuting those whose hands are up. So you can unmute yourself and speak. Hello, does data scientists play the same role as a data analyst? I believe I've answered this question already. Please, once the recording is available, just go through it. I went through the differences um, between these two roles. So I don't think I would want to go through that again. So just once the recording stop, once the recording is available, please just go through it. You would understand it better. So
Good day, sir. Thank you for the presentation. My question is, when someone has learned to be a data scientist, does it mean he is a data analyst? Thank you.
okay. Thank you, Kabiru, for that question. So your question is, if someone has learned data science, is that person automatically a data analyst? I would say no. That person is not automatically data analyst, right? But that person can that person will have idea of data analysis. Do you know why I say this? Because data analysts, they have specific tools they use for their work. Like, for instance, data analyst uses a data analyst would use Tableau for data visualization, Power BI, sometimes Excel, and some other tools, SQL and the rest. So these are the tools that are peculiar, not that the data science can use them, but they are peculiar to data analysis, data analysis. So they are more topics or concepts that are unique to these tools that a data science will learn. But a data analyst will learn rather, but a data scientist will be more focused on Python, on creating models, on evaluating models, on working with programming languages and the rest, right? So they won't be exposing themselves to these other tools that the data analyst will use. So you can't really classify yourself as a data analyst, but it will be, you would have idea of what data analysts do. Like, and most times you would have an idea of how to do data analysis, right? So yeah, I think that should answer your question. So anybody else with question, please unmute yourself and speak.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you very much for the class. My question is, does data science involve business analysis? That's my first question. And my second question is, after learning data science, the next thing to do, is it to create an AI app or just choose to work with businesses or to work with firms? So what's the next thing to do after learning data science? That's my second question.
All right, thank you very much, Lawal. Yeah, that is actually a very good question. So now, your first question was if business data analyst is the same thing as data science, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So there are actually two different fields. So we have actually in the data science field, we have different data professions. We have a data engineer, we have a data scientist, we have a data analyst, we have a business analyst, we have business intelligence analyst, and we have plenty of them, which it's not necessary to mention all. But basically, we have several professions in the data field. So the data science is distinct, and it has its unique role from a data analyst role, right? So the same thing for a business analyst. A business analyst has distinct roles from a data science or a data scientist. So I think if you need to know more about it, what it does, it's actually going to be good if you just research on it. But basically, these two are different roles. If you are a data scientist and you want to become a business analyst, you have to go through a different path, right? You have to go through a different path. You have to learn some skills. You have to learn some tools. You need to learn different. You have to go through a different path, basically, right? So that is just it for that. So there are two different fields. They're not the same thing. So I believe that will answer your first question. So second question was what next after this? Yeah. The data science field is actually very lucrative, right? There are a lot of opportunities. You can decide to, depending on what you want to do, like the option basically is left for you. You can decide to apply for a role, a data science role in a company. You can decide to create a data product. You can decide to, okay, I want to launch a data product that I might pitch and sell, or a startup, or whatever it is. And so as long as you have that skill, the potentials are limitless. Like there are a lot of things you can do. But basically what people do is once they are done with learning data science, they start applying for roles in companies. Yeah, there are a lot of openings in data science recently. And as you can see, the world is moving towards AI and the rest. So the opportunities for people in the data field is going to be exploding, basically. So that one shouldn't be a problem. The problem is getting the skill and being good at it. If you are good at what you do, I'm telling you, like you won't have problem with that, with finding the next step, right? So just focus on this on getting the required skill, right? So I believe that answers your question. So any other person with questions, please unmute yourself and speak.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Peter.
Yeah, thank you for your time. So my question is that as a data scientist, when you create a model to solve a particular problem, right?
Yeah.
Hello, are you?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can
So
hear
as
you.
a data scientist, you you make models to solve a particular problem, right?
Yeah.
After making the model, does the model work for a long time, or how do a data scientist keeps being relevant in the field? You know what I'm saying is, when a particular company needs a model for a particular problem, hope it is not that after giving out the model to them and it solves their problem, then they cut you off.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's actually a good question, and I can understand the point you're coming from. So, see, once you deploy the model,
Yeah.
the model needs to be constantly improved.
Okay.
It needs to be monitored, it needs to be improved, and it needs to. There are a lot of things that goes into maintaining that model. People that deployed ChatGPT is a model. It's a large language model, right? So them deploying it doesn't mean they can go and rest. Everything has been solved, so no problem again. No, no, no. That is not what happens. They constantly improve the model, constantly tune the model, constantly make sure the model is accurate because
Yeah.
the model is solving real world problems. So there are some things that
Yeah.
the model might not have been trained to capture. So that new data just appears from nowhere. So they have to retrain that model with that new data, do fine tuning, evaluate the model, and deploy the model. Right. So it is a constant and iterative process. Right. So it's not something you just do at once. Right. So there are a
Okay.
lot of processes that are involved in ensuring that your model is. So please, if you are not asking any question, please can you just mute your mic? Thank you
Okay,
very much.
I think I get that example. When ChatGPT was introduced, I think the knowledge was limited to 2010 or 2000 and thereabouts, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, well.
yeah. So did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, so the thing is that there's always something to do as a data scientist. Like it's not just models that you'll be creating. There are a lot of other processes, things that will be involved. That presentations. You can even sometimes they might ask you to do a work of a data analyst, right? To come up with statistical inferences, right? There are tons of stuff to do in data science. So it's not just, but this is just basically the pattern. This is basically what you'd expect as a data scientist, but it is not restricted to just this. So there's always something to do as a data scientist. So the work is there. If it's the work that's concerned, there's definitely going to be work. So any other question?
Yeah. So what
Yes,
about?
thank you very thank you very much for the breakdown. My name is Taiwo. So I have just one question. As someone
All right,
who
I'm listening
has
to you.
probably who has a certification already in data analytics, who can work with SQL, Tableau, and the likes. Of course, R programming also. Uh, what is the next phase after learning data analytics, and the person probably just wants to learn Python, right? What is the next career pathway? Thank you very much.
Okay, so if I got you right, because your line was actually breaking. If I got your question right, you're asking what's the next
Okay,
step to take
you
as a.
want me to rephrase?
All right, can you
Do you
repeat
like me to
yourself?
rephrase it?
Yeah, thank
All
you.
right,
Can you go
thank you
on?
very much. So the question is this. Someone with a data analytics, background probably has been working with data and has knowledge about SQL. Not just normal data analytics and Tableau and R programming. And you just mentioned during the slide that you shared that one needs to. You mentioned Python and R programming. So someone who has already like a R programming skill and will just want to learn Python afresh as a data analyst. Is there like a progression after being you first need to be a data analyst first before you need to be a data engineer before you need to be a data scientist, or is just finding it? I just need like a clarity as regards to pathways. So someone who has a data analytics background, what is the next thing after learning Python? Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I actually understand your question. So, um, for the pathway, it actually depends on you, right? Some persons might want to go through the data science part without going through the data analytics part, right? And that's fine. That is actually okay. So they want to become a data scientist, right? So they go through Python programming, learn everything, the essentials and the rest, and they become a data scientist. That's good and fine. So some persons might want to go through the data analytics route, learning data analytics first, and then before proceeding to learn data science, which is also great, right? That is another pathway. I think the last one should be you're a data analyst. You just want to be a data analyst. You learn all the essentials, you learn all the tools, you get the required skill, and great. You move on. You start looking for jobs. You start applying your work, your skill, and just using what you've learned to make impact, basically. So if you've done data analysis already and taken a course, that's actually very great. But if you wish to proceed or to upskill and improve on what you've learned to become a data scientist, that's also good, right? So you just have to follow the curriculum that we have here and just follow everything we are doing, and you get everything that you need to be a data scientist. So it's even going to be easier for you since you already have the foundation and you already know some of these things. So it's going to be much more easier, right? So I don't know if I answered that question.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much
All
for
right.
that.
So we have I think I'll take three more
Hello,
questions. Please, if you have a
hello, sir.
question. All right, Kim. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, good evening, sir. Thank you for the time.
Yeah, yeah. Good evening. Thank you very much for your attention too.
Your explanation on data modeling, I really didn't get the grasp of the explanation on data modeling. In basic terms, what is these models? In basic terms
Okay.
for our understanding.
Okay. So
Yes.
modeling basically is capturing relationships. That is it. Capturing relationships between an input and an output. So that is just it. I'll stop there. If I go further, I might complicate things, but that is just it. A model basically captures a relationship between an input and an output. Did you get that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other question? Joseph, I think
Come
you're
and look,
just
come
in.
and drink to bring to my house now. Pay.
Hello, is there another question? Another question?
Yes, I have a
Um,
question.
all right, please go on.
Yeah, my question is, hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go on.
Yeah, when are we supposed to download, get the Python?
Yeah, I will drop resources today. If I don't drop it today, then after the sessions tomorrow, I will drop it. But the ones for that we're going to be doing tomorrow, and I've dropped the material there already. That is for the anaconda basically. So just follow the material that I dropped initially there. So for Python, I will drop the material this evening before tomorrow. So you can also get that to install. All right. So someone asked initially if we would be working with VS Code. Yes, yes, we would be working with VS Code. Yeah, but I didn't want to complicate things for some of us because plenty of us here are still new to this whole development and programming environment. So I didn't want to complicate things now. So we are taking it step by step. Right. So once we get this Jupyter notebook set, then we can move on further to then setting up VS Code. So, but tomorrow's session would involve all that. Like I will be taking you through the installation process and setting up your environment. And as well as for VS Code. Yeah, I think I would include that too. So once you get the recording, you can follow as well and get everything installed. Right. So yeah, that's it for that. Any other question?
Please, I have a
Hello,
question.
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Um,
Good afternoon, sir. Now,
Sadiq, please
my
can you?
question.
Abiodun,
Sadiq,
All
Sadiq,
right.
please.
sir. Can I talk?
Hello. Yeah, yeah. Go on.
Good afternoon, sir. Please, the other time when we were on the live session, you said you created a website. Will you be able to teach?
What you
Will you
say?
be able to teach? The other time you said you created a website on data.
Did I say
Hello.
so? I can't remember that. I don't think
But okay.
I don't think I get your
Okay.
question. I don't think I get your question. You mean I created a website? I told you I created a website for data.
Yeah, I thought you said that the other time. There is something you show us a data like that on your screen.
During this class.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a
Okay,
dashboard.
okay. It was a
Google.
dashboard. It was
Okay,
a
sorry. Okay,
dashboard.
sorry. Dashboard. Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. Sir, please, will you be able to teach us how to create your dashboard before the end of the program?
That is actually I was just showing it to give you an idea of what a data analyst do. Like, so we
Okay.
won't be doing that in the course of this program.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Please. Yeah.
Please, I have a question.
All right. Yeah. Sanusi, please go on.
Yes, thank you very much for your time so far. My
Thank you
question
very
is
much.
this data science, from your explanation, even though you are trying to tell us, it looks like a lot, especially the fact that programming is involved and we have 3 months. So the question is, at the end of the 3 months, we will like become a full-fledged data scientist. Yes, I get that we may still need to build, on the whatever we've learned at the end of the 3 months, but can we like say at the end of these 3 months we are a data scientist, or it's just a foundational course that we need to build on to become a data scientist?
Yeah. That's actually a very good question. So, the essence of this program is to give you the required skill to become a data scientist, right? So, the thing there is that it is going to require a lot on from our side because we have a lot to cover basically. So it's going to require a lot from your side and from my side, right? So the curriculum covers everything that you need to be a data scientist from start to finish. So if you can keep up with it, if you can be consistent with the assignment, be consistent with the live sessions, the resources, your own personal reading, and everything, dedication, trust me, by the end of the month, you would call yourself a data scientist. You call yourself a data scientist. So this is not just a foundational course. It's I understand the timing. I totally understand the timing, but that's what we are working with. So that's what we're working with, and it's some you are supposed to come out with the skills of a data scientist. You might not necessarily be you would have what it takes to um, you have what it takes to work as a junior data scientist and just get into the industry basically. So it's good enough for a start. Yeah, that's it. So I will take the last question and we'll wrap up now.
I want
Yeah,
to speak, sir. Yes, sir.
I want to speak.
All right, go
Sir,
on.
I have an issue. Will should I follow the should I follow the curriculum they gave me? Because that curriculum is telling me data analytic. Should I
Yeah,
follow your
so
curriculum?
yeah, we're actually following. I'll send you the curriculum for this particular program. I believe this question was already addressed yesterday with the organizer, the facilitator of this program. So I said we are going to be using the data science curriculum, um, yeah, instead. So yeah, that is going to be it.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have a question. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah, my question is so for this particular program, we are supposed to learn all of this. Is there like are they going to issue us a certificate, or is there like a follow up after the program, to push us further in terms of linking us
Yeah.
to other?
Yes. Okay.
Hello.
Let me just speak briefly on that. Let me speak briefly on that. I don't know if you were present in the orientation or the onboarding session. These things we addressed. The bank that that is sponsoring this program is looking to employ the best students from this program, right? So you have a direct link to getting a job if you can do very well. Like if you can showcase your ability and your skill very well, and if basically if you do well, and they'll pick the best from each of this track and employ them. Like it is a contract, right? So it is, you are assured of that. So there's a link. There's going to be a link. This is not an ordinary opportunity, right? This is very, very rare opportunity. So there's going to for those that would be outstanding in this program, there's going to definitely be a link to getting a job with these banks and some other companies that are affiliated to. So yeah, that was it. So I think that's the last question, and we're going to be wrapping up for today. If you have any other question, please drop it in the group chat. I and my assistant will do very well to answer them. So have a nice day, and please keep tab with the Google Classroom, as we'll be posting information, relevant information, and yeah. So yeah, thank you for your time, and have a nice day.
How far, guys?
Yeah, I beg the attendance